Do you want to get started with microcontrollers but you don't know how? How about I show you a few code snippets that you can find online for free, how to choose your starting hardware or pick within your kit of electronic goodies, and how to get started making some really cool projects. Let's go. Now, there are a lot of ways to get started with microcontroller projects, from going completely from scratch, just a code editor and you and the components and trying to make something happen. But there's a lot of easier ways to get going with projects or code examples that already exist. And luckily for you, there's a lot of those out there. Now, the way most people start with a microcontroller is, of course, they buy the board. It could be an Arduino, it can be a Raspberry Pi, it can be a Pico. There's a lot of different options out there, and all of them will usually have some kind of getting started guide. So I will definitely recommend looking at that first. Not only does it show you how to install the microcontroller and get started, but it usually has a few examples to go with it as well. For example, when I got my Arduino, it came with an Arduino Starter Kit and a project book. And all of the examples were based on the components that I also had in the kit that it came with. And that was this one. So you usually have quite a lot of electronics that you can mix and match and play with, and a guide on how to combine them. And as for the Raspberry Pi, I already had the board, so I just bought a kit with components and projects. This one is from Freenove, #not sponsored, but I wish I were. Basically, you can find so many different kit variants online on Amazon, on AliExpress, on Alibaba, or whatever website you're used to buying from. I can link a few in the description below, but I'm not particularly sure that one is, better than the other. Whatever you can find and looks like it has fun components for you, it's probably a good one to get started with. And it's good to know that most electronic components work between Arduino and Raspberry Pi as well. So both my kits have things that I can use interchangeably for the different boards, so you're not really locked in to that extent. There are a few exceptions, of course, like we mentioned in my Arduino versus Raspberry Pi video, the most notable of which is the cables. The Raspberry has male to female and the Arduino has male to male, but you can always use a lot of cables anyway. The rest, the resistors, the sensors, you can use with whatever controller you have most of the time. So just get yourself a kit and you can go from there. Now, if you don't want to get a kit because they are a bit more expensive, or you don't think you're going to use all the different pieces, you can also just buy them individually, depending on how many things you want to get. Sometimes you get off cheaper. Sometimes if you want to try like 3 or 4 projects, it might be better to just get a set that has more things. And then as you start developing and playing with them, you'll realize you would actually like one extra thing, like a few extra light bulbs, a few extra resistances. It would be cool to add another type of sensor. So I particularly like the idea of having a kit and having more things that you can also draw inspiration from. But on the other hand, if you just think, I want to build the specific projects, you can also look at the tutorial online and only buy the specific pieces that are needed for it. So like I said, the best part of a kit is that it comes with a list of projects and usually some code for it as well. However, you don't need to buy a kit to access those projects. Pro tip, most of these projects are usually available online. And you can just make use of them even if you didn't buy the kit from that particular company. I'm going to link some of them below, but I've tried the ones from Freenove because it would link to my kit. But I'm also going to link down the ones from Sunfounder, which is another one I ran into when I was doing the research for this project. And they also have a lot of Python and C++ code. Basically, just look at a kit provider and look at their documentation, and usually they will have those projects available for you so you can get started with them for free. Get your components from the cheapest place you can, get your projects online for free, and don't spend more money than you need to. So how do we get started? Well, I think the first project that everyone who has ever had a microcontroller or microprocessor has ever done is the blink example. Basically, you just want to turn on a light. This can be done with any and every processor or controller that there is. The very, very basic example would be to first turn on the internal light of the system. So for example, I'll use the Pico to illustrate some of these. The Pico and most controllers have a light within it, so you can first just control and turn that on, so you don't need any extra additional kit just to get a feel of how that works. You can do this in Python for compatible models, or with something like Arduino, you will usually be doing it in C++. And to me, that is also the main distinction of how you would choose to go with one microprocessor or microcontroller or whatever over another, is what language do you want to work in. While Arduino is one of the easiest ones to get started with, it is in C++. Whereas if you're coming from a different background like I am, from data science and AI, you may be more comfortable with Python. And in that case, a Raspberry Pi will usually make more sense. Or if you want to go kind of in between, in the previous video, I showed the differences between a microprocessor and a microcontroller, but you can have a microcontroller that does Python, like the Raspberry Pi Pico, the Arduino Nano, I believe, does it as well. So just look into the specification of the gear you're going with and make sure it's a language they're comfortable with. First thing first, setting up the Raspberry Pico was quite easy, but it took me a while to figure it out from the documentation, to be honest. You have to press this button as you connect it to your laptop, which will trigger it to reset. You have to drag the correct file that you can take from the Raspberry Pi website to the drive that shows up in your laptop. This will install everything that is needed so you can start running MicroPython, and then you can work with a code editor. You can use the regular code editor that you're used to. For example, I use Visual Studio Code, and then I installed the plugin for Raspberry Pico, which allowed me to connect to the MicroPython interpreter and to also upload the files to the Pico. Because remember, we don't want to code on our computer, we want to code directly on the device. So whatever code you write, you want to push it to the device and have it compile in there. And it runs pretty smoothly out of the box because it already has a lot of packages installed, for example. But if you want to use custom packages, like if you use a kit provider, they're usually probably also going to give you some extra things you can install to make it go smoother. And to do this, I preferred actually to use the Thonny IDE. And this is a very small version of an IDE that's specifically used for these kind of projects and works really well with MicroPython. And it has less features, so it's a bit less confusing to get around than Visual Studio Code. So if you don't already have a strong preference from a particular IDE, I would recommend just using Thonny. And this allows you to also manage your packages a lot easier. You can see in the tools that you can select which packages you want to look up, which ones you want to add to your board. And if you have your own private files with your own packages, for example, that you got from a kit provider, you can also upload these to your Raspberry. And then you see the ones that have already been installed. So from here, you can keep track of the files that you have on your Pico. You can run the ones that you need, and you can delete the ones you no longer want, because again, it is very tiny, so it has a limited memory. You can't just upload a billion projects to it at once. You have to switch them out as you go. So for example, for the very first Blink project, you can do it in both languages, and I'll show you the Python and C++ code and how this looks like on the Arduino, the Pico, and the normal Raspberry. But for the rest of the examples, I'm mainly going to lean into the Pico and Python examples. Now, the best part about it is that just like the physical components, the code is also reusable for various different boards. You just have to see what is compatible with the hardware that you have, and you don't have to get the exact same board that I am using for these examples. You can just adapt it to whatever you have at home. If something that I'm showing today doesn't run with whatever gear you have, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to figure out an example for your board as well. So if we've turned on the board, the next logical thing is to turn on some lights. I am a very big fan of lights myself. I have them all over the house, and I think it's really fun to be able to also light them up with your very own circuit. So what most people do once they got a board is turn on a light. You can do this very simply by just using a light bulb and, very importantly, a resistor, because you don't want the electricity going through the bulb to explode it, because there's too much going on and the heat overwhelms the hardware. So we have to make sure we use resistors as needed within the circuit. There's a lot of theory to go with how that works, from Ohm's law, various other theorems about electricity and resistance and the intensity of the current. We can cover that in a different video. But that is also why I recommend following tutorials when you start to put things together, because it might be fun to just start plugging stuff in, but unless you have some understanding of electricity, you should follow guidance on what resistance to use and what can and cannot overwhelm your system, when to use 3V versus 5V, and so on and so forth. So if those do not sound familiar to you, follow a tutorial, follow a guide. A lot of the projects come with pictures on exactly how to connect these components, and you don't want to make too many changes that might burn out some of your hard-earned hardware. Hard-earned hardware. It's a really difficult thing to say. Right, so once you've connected your light bulb and your resistance, you want to connect to power and to ground. If you want to see me go into more detail about these very basic setups, you can watch my Arduino video where we go a bit more in detail about how the board and the breadboard work. But I'm assuming if you've clicked on this video, you've already kind of played around with these projects before. And your main question is, okay, I have a light bulb. How do I get to something more fun? And that's where my kit comes in. So there's two ways to figure out what projects to do. If you have to do something for school or a robotic fair or whatever the reason you want to start out, you may not know what direction to go in. You may have decision paralysis because there's just too much that you could do. So you can take inspiration either from the gear or from the problem. So if I look around my bag of goodies, for example, this one stood out to me. It has like a sensor with a key card that you can connect together and it can grant you access. You can encode it with a particular phrase that only recognizes the key code, and you can then trigger other actions. I think that's really fun. So out of the box, I'm picking this. I'm going to look how to make a project with this, and that's how I start. On the other hand, you can look at it from a problem and solution perspective. For example, I noticed that my puppy often wants to go outside, and she does this by going next to the door to our garden and poking her nose there, and she wants the door to open. So that makes me think, could I make a solution that detects an input, knows that it's my dog, and then opens the door? Well, probably that would involve using some kind of keycard system and using a servo motor to maybe open the door. So either way you go from it, you try to think about the problem you're trying to solve or the components you want to use, and you end up to your project. So how do we do this? Once again, I start by looking it up. You don't have to make everything yourself to be an engineer. There are so many great resources out there, and we should take advantage of them. So this is called an RFID. It says so on it. That's how you can tell. That's how I can tell what most of these sensors are called, because I do not know them by sight. So I Googled RFID project and I found this from SunFounder. And basically it explains exactly how the process works, how the component works. It gives you the electronics graphics, and it shows you the exact picture of how the breadboard should be connected with your device. I looked it up specifically for my Raspberry Pi Pico, but again, just fill in whatever microboard or microcontroller you have. And it also gives you the code. So then I'm able to take this, connect everything exactly how it shows into the picture, and then it runs. So that was pretty simple. But like I said, I wanted to make it a bit more customized. This component just shows you how to take the ID, how to write the password to it, and how to check that it's correct. But I also want to trigger something. So I want to, for example, move the rotor so that I open the door. Then I look up how to use the rotor, and you can find a different code component just for that servo motor. You take that and you put them together. You add a little bit of Python magic, like checking if the correct phrase that I encoded into my little card is the one that I'm using. Then I want you to trigger the servo motor. So you can kind of start with all the different components you find online, put them together, and as you add more and more components, you can end up with some really cool projects. All right, let's try another project. I also looked around and I see this component is very often used with different robots because it kind of looks like eyes. And this is a distance sensor. So it can measure how far away you are from its receptors. And it is usually used, for example, for different little robot cars that drive around and don't want to hit things. Or you can make a trash can, registers when you get close and opens up. So many options, but the very first thing you have to do is just figure out how to install it. So very similar to our keycard scanner, we connect this into our board and we put together all the cables. Once again, I was able to find a code snippet and a picture of how this should be set up, and I just put it together in my Raspberry Pico like this. And then again, because we don't want to just use a very basic example, I thought we can also have a warning system. Like if my hand gets too close to the sensor, I want a light bulb to turn on. So again, you can take the same example you used for turning on your very first light bulb, and you can also incorporate it into this project with the new sensor. So anything you build with your microcontroller is something that you've learned and you can then use again in the future. Every project that you build can become more complex because you're going to be calling back on things that you've already tried. So I would also recommend keeping your code files around using something like GitHub to track your changes and track all the things that you've run successfully. All right, so we've tried very simple things like turning on a light bulb. We've tried to combine different components and work with whatever hardware you have, like using an RFID, using a distance sensor, using light bulbs, and whatever else you have in your goodie box or you've ordered from your favorite shipping partner. Now, the final project, and the one that usually sticks around with you, is the one that you keep working on. For me, that is the robot arm. You've seen in my very first video that I've built a robot arm, well, at least I started to, by putting together different servo motors. We've since expanded on it a little bit more, and I now have 3 servo motors connected to my Arduino board. I'm using the same code as before. I'm just using a slightly better cable management system. And this to me is the most fun way to play with this microprocessors, microcontroller, is you start with an idea and you don't necessarily find the code for it. Well, I found some code example of how to control the servo motors, but I'm not looking at how to directly build a whole robot. I kind of want to figure it out myself. So I've put the servo motors together. I have 3 of them working with the different potentiometers, and I can control them as I would different joints. I also noticed that I'm having a bit of lag and a few issues with it when I try to go to even stronger servo motors. So I had to make up for that by adding a battery in my system. So I'm compensating, and I've since learned that you need more power, so you have to adjust. I also learned that the Arduino is not the best at controlling so many servo motors at once. So I actually had to get a Servo Driver, again, showing the example that as your projects develop, you might discover you need a particular piece, so you can just order it one piece at a time. And I can now use this to control the motors a little bit more smoothly and have less of a mess. Then I discovered that the carton I was using wasn't the best either for how strong I wanted my robot arm to be. So my next step is to order a custom 3D printed robot arm. So I also looked it up and I found an open source file that I can use, and I've sent that off to be printed. So the next video, I'm going to show you how I continue to build on this robot arm, which to me is like the most pure and the most exciting way to build with microcontrollers. You have an idea, you keep iterating on it, keep adding different parts and make it more complex as you need to, rather than just setting it all up from zero. That being said, I also think I'm learning a lot from doing these small little side projects. So what I would recommend is to have your North Star, the big project you want to work on, but at the same time, try to do all these different tasks, because you're always going to learn how to combine components, which particular sensors are useful or not, and all of that can help you along the way. So to get started, check out all the links and resources that I've put below. You can find some kit ideas, you can find some free coding samples that you can try out. And I'm very curious to see what you guys build. So let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're making something cool, if you want me to focus on a particular area of robotics or embedded systems or anything in that area. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe and leave comments below so the YouTube algorithm likes me and I can keep making videos for you and we can have fun together learning and building with microcontrollers and robotics. I'll see you in the next video.